Okay. So bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So basically apa yang kita nak belajar in this chapter, okay, so there are lots of things that we need to know in this chapter. So first of all, we want to know what is meant by class concept. Actually kita dah faham sikit class concept. Class actually is a blueprint, a template yang kita kena provide sebelum kita nak tulis Java object oriented code. Okay, then what is the definition of the class? What are the members yang kita kena letak dalam kelas? Kita dah tahu kena letak apa? Properties ataupun attributes ataupun methods. Kita kena masukkan dalam class definition kita. And then we want to also learn what are the basic types of method. There are lots of methods actually. So kita nak belajar apa benda methods yang ada dalam Java object oriented ni. Okay, then we want to know how to write the methods, the header, the body, what should we include inside the body of the method. And then in our part 2 next week insyaAllah, so we will learn the static fields, what is meant by static fields, what is meant by static methods, okay, keyword static tu apa maksud dia. And last one, what are the predefined classes, kelas yang dah define siap-siap dalam library. And then what is meant by wrapper classes. Kelas wrapper classes ni pun dah ada dalam library. Cuma tinggal kita nak guna je untuk apa Okay, so next, let's move on. What is meant by class concept? Okay, kita dah tahu class is a user defined blueprint or prototype. Okay, let's say we want to declare a class named student. So we need to know what is the prototype or blueprint, what is the template for us to write the class for students, okay? Then you should know a class must has what? A set of properties or also known as attribute. Mesti ada method juga kalau ada. So that are common to all object means what? All object must have class, attributes or methods. Okay, so in general, how to declare the class? Point number 3 tu guys. Okay, we can include several components. Pertama, okay, the first one is modifiers. Modifiers ni, for example, a class can be public or has default access. Maksudnya, we need to tell the compiler, okay, this class is can be accessed by what kind of program, from inside or outside, private or public, something like that. So by common, kita usually declare the class as public. Okay, public. Why public? Because we can let other users, other program from other problem ke mana-mana, from where, from anywhere, so can access the code that we already written. Okay, and then after modifiers, we must follow by class name. Kenalah bagi tahu what is the name of the class. For example, student. Okay, and then if we write an inheritance concept, so you must include the number 3, superclass. So how to tell the compiler, okay, I want to implement inheritance, so you must include the keyword extend here. Okay, nanti kita belajarlah dalam next chapter. Okay, and then if you want to write a special library which is called interfaces, you must include this keyword interfaces. Kalau tak ada, tak perlu. So just a name class followed by the body. Body of course lah, sama macam C++, we need to include curly braces. Okay. So the most important when you want to define or write a Java program or OOP ni, OOP concept in Java, so you should have modifier nombor 1, nombor 2 wajib ada class name, and number 3 kena ada body. Okay. So next, so this is the framework or the things that you should include. Okay, or you should follow when you want to write the Java class. So first of all, kita dah belajar dah ni masa chapter 2. So you must include import statement. Let's say you already use J option paint kan. So kelas apa nak kena import kan. So you need to start with import statement. Okay, then kalau nak letak comment sikit, what is the function or use of this program that you write? So the purpose of the program, so you can include number 2, class comment. Or else you just write the class definition or also known as class header ni lah, class name ni. Okay, dalam case ni dia tak ada modifier ni. Depan ni should have modifier public ke whatsoever So tapi keyword class ni wajib ada yang menunjukkan kita nak write a class program. Okay, class code. So you followed by whatsoever name of the class that you want to write, for example student, followed by the body yang kita cakap tadi tu kan. So dalam body ni kena letak apa? So of course the properties of the class, data members and also the methods if any kalau ada. Okay, kalau tak ada tutup je lah. Alright, ataupun masukkan apa paling busuk-busuk pun kita letak apa? Main method yang macam you ada buat previously buat array exercise, buat apa yang kita dah buat sebelum ni Okay. So let's move on to the how we want to define the class members. In this case, class members ni ialah untuk declare attribute. Attribute of student, for example. So how to declare the attribute of student? You must start with modifiers. Modifiers tu yang Madam cakap tadi tu lah. Kita nak tells the other program or other user this class is how we want to access the class. This class ni private ke, tak private ke, public ke whatsoever. So we need to tell the user or the compiler. Okay, so in this case they declare as private. Private means what? Privacy lah. Okay, tak semestinya semua program or other methods ke siapa-siapa boleh access this attribute, simply can access this attribute so that's why it is defined as private. So bila kita dah declare the modifiers, must followed by data type. What kind of data type that we want to define for the given attribute. In this case, they give the data type to the attributes that it wants to write, which is string. And then the name of the attribute tu, dia bagi nama name. Student name lah, for example. Okay, so boleh faham So bila nak declare variable, nak declare attribute, kena ingat 3 benda. Kena masukkan 3. Mesti ada private, lepas tu data type and name. Kalau C++ perlu ada modifiers tak you all? Madam rasa macam tak perlu. Kan? Ingat lagi tak? C++.
Tak perlu.
Tak perlu kan? Dia 2 je kan? Okay, so you ada tambahan satu lagi untuk Java OOP, you kena tambah modifiers. Basically, typically, memang kita by default akan letak private. Okay, kenapa? Kita tak nak bagi program lain sesuka hati ambil atau access kita punya attribute. Okay. So next, so this one is for method declaration. What is the syntax? So must start with modifier lagi. Kita kena bagi tahulah Java ni. Dia ni public ke private ke, boleh access ataupun tak boleh access. Okay, and then method must have the return type. Return type, of course lah method kan. Kita buat method untuk apa? Untuk return the value ataupun do something kan, process something. So we must have the return type. Kalau tak ada value nak return, nak letak apa you all? Void. So C++ letak apa you all? Siapa ingat? Void juga kan? Okay, so method name followed by method name. Contoh dalam case ni dia letak method tu nama dia set name. Okay, and then in the bracket must consist of parameters. Sama macam C++, declaration followed by body body, and then include several statements and tutup body balik. So dalam case ni contoh public void, we don't want to return any value, we just want to set a new value to the variable name which is name. Okay, and then that's why it give the name of the method as set name ni. Then it receive one parameter type string. Okay. Kalau you ingat lagi tadi awal-awal kita declare attributes or variable as name kan. Okay, so dia nak set a new value to the name. It give a new variable names to name ni. Where does this to name is come? Okay, jadi daripada sini parameter yang kita receive dalam bracket di header of the method. Okay, clear yang ni Okay, so basic types of method. Kalau you all tengok ni, ini declaration methods. Okay, so tadi awal-awal kita dah discuss ada beberapa jenis method lagi. So inilah method-method yang you all kena hafal. Kena tahu cara tulis. Mesti ingat dah. So tapi dia punya apa nama tu? The fundamental things that you need to remember or memorize is this one lah, the syntax, okay? Then if the question or the program asks you to write a constructor, so you must know, okay, how to write default constructor, how to write normal. So each of these constructor, method, accessor to string and processor ni has their own syntax, okay? So we will look one by one. Hari ni Medan nak sentuh yang 1 hingga 5 ni je. Okay, so first of all, we look at the differences between constructors. So constructor, okay, so kena masuk dalam mind. First tadi kita dah declare class student contohnya, a class name. After class name, we need to declare the attributes. Okay, attributes, lepas dah declare attributes, followed by methods. So method yang pertama yang you all akan tulis ialah constructor. So there are 3 types of constructor, default, normal and also copy. Tapi yang selalu yang kita akan tulis adalah yang 2 ni, default and normal. Copy constructor ni kalau kita ada optional nak pakai object baru kita buat copy constructor, or else we just write default and normal. So let's look at the definition for defaults. Default constructor is a constructor without any parameter. Parameter tadi kat mana you all? Dekat header tadi kan? So there is no parameter for this constructor or for this method. So all its parameter have default value. Maksudnya dah lah tak ada parameters, tapi dia punya tu ada ataupun kalau nak dia ada default value. So if you don't define a constructor for a class, kalau you terlupa nak tulis default constructor ni, it's okay. The compiler will create the default constructor for you. Okay, so how to write the default constructor? Okay, contoh bawah tu. Contoh kelas apa? Kita ada satu constructor ni nama dia circle. Okay, actually constructor ni nama dia, method constructor ni we need to take from the name of the class itself. So kalau kita tengok public circle ni, kita tahu oh this one is from the class name circle. So and then what else? Constructor ni dia kata tadi, constructor is a construct, default constructor is a construct without any parameters. So in this case, actually the circle contains 2 attributes, color and also radius. So lagi satu, dia declare the color and radius ni, they give a default value, not available and equals to 0.0. Usually if we write C++ code, usually you will give the default value during the variable declaration kan. So yang ni OOP tak perlu, kita boleh give the default value during the default constructor definition. Okay, and then so normal constructor, so what is different between normal constructor and default constructor? So normal constructor is a constructor that receives several value. Daripada siapa? From the main method. Let's say we want to ask the value given from the user. Kita as a programmer no need to provide the value, so we need to ask from the user. So if you have this kind of function, so you need to use normal constructor. So how to declare the normal constructor ni? Okay, so kalau you tengok kat sini, beza dengan default, default tak ada parameter. Sebab apa? we as a programmer will define itself. Okay, the value of each attributes tu. Tapi kalau case normal constructor ni, we need to declare the parameter that we want to receive. Let's say in this case, we have 2 attributes. So you all kena declare 2 parameter lah to receive. Untuk color dengan juga radius tadi. So, color yang dengan radius yang kita dah declare tu tadi, we receive the value or we declare the value by using the value that inserted by the user. Okay. Okay. Normal constructor ni dia kata this method can be overloaded. Overloaded maksudnya apa? Number of parameters and or all the type of parameters are different. Boleh ubah. Boleh lebih. So normal constructor ni boleh lebih daripada 1. So bila dia lebih daripada 1, dia akan jadi overload. Terlebih lah. Nama sama, method tu sama je nama dia circle tapi dia boleh lebih daripada 1 definition. Okay. Okay, so constructor yang ketiga is called as copy constructor. So what is the function of copy constructor? Is purposely created for object. Initializes a new object. Just now, default and normal ni, dia initialize the variables. Tapi, what if we have an object? Object, inside the object contain more than one variable kan? So, kita boleh guna copy constructor to initialize the value of an object. Okay, so dia just copy object satu je nama and then dia boleh extract banyak variable dalam tu So in this case kalau you all tengok beza dia punya declaration circle juga tapi you all tengok dekat parameter dia. Kalau yang normal parameter dia parameter biasa. Okay, kalau ada dua lah parameter kita kena letak. Tapi kalau objek just panggil objek sahaja. Circle ini nama kelas and then apa objek dia? OBJ for example So if you want to give the value to the color, you need to call the object obj.color, something like that. If you want to give the value of radius, you need to call obj first in front of the radius. Something like that Okay, ada soalan tak on constructor? Boleh ke kelas? Tengok definition boleh lah. Kalau suruh buat tak tahu lagi boleh ke tidak kan?
Betul.
Sekejap lagi kita buat exercise So is default, normal and copy. Okay, next. So now we move on to the second method. It is called as mutator, mutate or setter, tukang set. So what is the function of mutator? Dia akan modifies the state of an object. Which means if you want to change the value of an object, you cannot use constructor. You need to create a dynamic method. So the method that helps you to modify the value or state is called as mutator. Tapi kadang-kadang kita macam tak best panggil mutator. Selalu orang panggil setter. Okay. Setter kenapa? Dia set balik value value baru. Okay. So, kenapa nak kena pakai mutator? If an attribute of an object is kept private. Tadi just now, kan, we declare the variable as private, right? So, how we want to declare or we want to define a new value or give the new value or modify a new value to the variable? So, we need to use mutator. So, then the only way nak kena buat, kena pakai mutator yang akan kerja dia modify its value. Okay And then mutator ni, macam mana nak bagi nama mutator ni? Selalunya orang akan letak set kat depan tu. Why set? Because if we look at the name of the method, ada set lah depan tu. Of course that one is a setter or mutator. Tapi tak salah pun nak bagi nama lain kan. Tapi untuk mengelakkan kita confuse between constructor lah tadi nak kena buat kan. And also the mutator, you put keyword set in front of it and then what is the name of the attribute that you want to modify the value. Okay. Then dalam body mutator ada apa? So it contains an assignment statement to modify the current content of the attribute with a new value. Dia lebih kurang macam constructor. Tapi dia ada assignment statement nanti you tengok macam mana. Okay, and then dia punya modifier is public. Okay, kita tengok contoh. Okay. Dia lebih kurang je macam constructor. Tapi beza dengan constructor, adakah constructor ada keyword void tadi? Kalau you all perasan? Tak ada kan? So constructor ni dia special. Dia tak ada return value. Dia memang basically untuk set or initialize bagi value awal sahaja. However, if you want to change this value, you need to create setter. So setter must has the return value. So the modifier is public. Okay, just now constructor ada modifier ada. So also public. So mutator also public, but dia ada additional tambahan benda ni, which is return value and followed by the name of the setter. Contohnya kita ada dua attribute tadi, color and radius kan. So we want to reset or modify the value of the colors. So you need to write a mutator. So this is the syntax, public void set color. And then of course lah, receive only one parameter, CLR ni, string type, because color is string type. Okay, and then you call the attribute name color equals to CLR. Lebih kurang macam normal constructor kan you all? Cuba tengok balik, sama kan? Cuma setter ada apa tadi tambahan? Return type. Okay. Alright. Okay, ini jenis declare ataupun setter kita set satu-satu untuk satu-satu variables or parameters. You also can write a second option. Okay, to write the setter, you combine all the attributes into one. Kalau ikutkan, kalau you perasan, sebenarnya ambil je balik definition of normal constructor just now. Okay, and then you just change this one, the header. Tambah return type and tambah set kat depan. So jadilah dia mutator. However, setter ni or mutator ni does not contain return keyword kat bawah ni. Why it does not has the return keyword? Because it just a setter, just provide a new or just modify the new value. Okay, dia tak return apa-apa So, itulah kerja setter or mutator. Okay, so cara tulis dia balik semula, ambil balik normal constructor tu, copy and paste ataupun tulis balik, tambah return type and also letak set kat depan. Tapi kalau you tak nak letak set kat depan, tak apa. But you must include void tu Bila kita nampak void tu, oh okay, ini adalah setter or mutator. Okay. So next. Okay, kita move on to the third method, which is called accessor ataupun getter. Getter nak get balik. Tadi set nak set, reset. So getter to get back. Or to get the value that the method offer to us. Okay. So to make the value of a private attribute, sebab tadi attribute we set as private. So if we want to use that value of the attribute, so we must use this method which is called getter lah. Kita nak get the value tu. Okay. So how want to give the name of the getter or accessor ni? Tadi kita pakai keyword set kat depan. Yang ni kita pakai keyword get pula. Bila kita nampak get, oh we know that this is accessor or getter. Okay, so we can use this method to get the value returned by the attributes. Okay, so what does the get attribute has inside its body? Okay, so consists of what? Single return statement. So different with setter. Setter doesn't have the return statement. So you just change the name of the setter. You put get and then you have a return statement. So the accessor also is made public. Of course lah public sebab kita nak get the value. So we need to set it as public. Kalau you set is private, so sampai bila-bila compiler tak boleh nak access you punya code ataupun method getter ni Okay, so the last point said while a mutator method modifies the state of an object, mutator tadi setter kerja dia modify value. Tapi assessor dia leave the state unchanged. Dia tak ubah value you all, tapi dia return value apa yang kita nak. Contohnya kita nak pakai radius, nak pakai color tadi kan. So kita just access the method itself and then we want to use the value that the color and radius provide to us. Something like that. Okay, so let's look at the example. How to declare the assessor or getter. Sama macam setter tadi. So tapi in this case you all tengok kat dia punya return type. Tadi void, setter void. Why void setter void? Sebab setter doesn't has return value. Okay. But getter must has return value depends on the attributes that you declare, on the type of the attribute. So in this case color they set as string. So you must return string. Then you put get word keyword inside of the attribute name tu. And then body dia tak payah setting apa-apa, tak payah equal dah. You just call the keyword return. So kita nak return color tu balik semula. Sebab apa? Setter tadi dah siap bagi value dah dekat color. So buat apa kita nak set balik kan? So kita just letak return color. So same goes the radius. You just return radius. So if we look this kind of code, we know that this one is getter. Okay. Alright. So settle on getter on assessor. Kita move on to the next one which is called as toString method. ToString ni ala-ala print method Okay, kita nak print something, kita nak print text. Okay. What does the toString do? Dia returns a string representation of an object attribute. Let's say we want to display the output of color and radius just now. So we can use toString method. So an assessor method is used only for a specific data member. Boleh je nak guna assessor tadi untuk return value kan. Tapi toString ni dia boleh return more than one. Okay, so that's why we can use toString lah. Tadi kalau assessor only return satu attribute, satu assessor So kalau you ada 10 attribute, you ada 10 assessor ataupun getter. Tapi if you want to display the output, display the value of all your 10 attributes, so you may use toString method. So public modifier dia also set as public. Okay, if you do not declare the toString method, actually the compiler has built-in toString method. Sebenarnya dah ada, just panggil je. Tapi in this class, kita kena letak lah, kena tulis toString method. So, alright. Kita tengok dia punya definition. Sama macam getter tadi. Public, and then what data type ataupun return type, of course lah string, sebab dia memang purposely created to display the string. Okay, so and then toString ni memang tak boleh tukar nama. Dia macam reserve word. So you need to call toString like this. Okay, and then you just followed by return what attribute that you want to return. Macam tadi return color je kan. Kalau macam you tengok assessor ni, dia return color, dia return attribute name. Tapi yang ni you boleh setting the text. What kind or what types of text that you want to display to the user, you boleh set balik. So ni special of the toString. So kadang ada orang tak suka pakai toString, dia buat print lah, display lah, their own method lah. Okay, that one we call as processor. Okay, so contoh keseluruhan how to implement the constructor, the mutator, assessor and toString method. Okay, jom kita tengok the whole code. So in this case, kalau you tengok line pertama which is kita pakai satu import java x.swing. Okay, kenapa nak pakai java x.swing? Okay, nanti kita tengok sebab apa Okay, so in this example, we declare one class name equals to square. Okay, class square lah, jenis public. Dalam body square, kita kata tadi, we already discussed that it must have all the attributes declaration and also the methods, right? So there are 5 types of methods that you need to include inside the class definition. So square consists of 2 attributes, length and also width. Okay, length and width, the data type is double, and then dia punya access modifier dia jenis private. So nobody or no program can freely access it lah. If other program want to access length and width, they must access through getter. Okay. So kita dah belajar tadi, after variables declaration, kita kena ada declare constructor. So in this case, ada 2 jenis constructor. Ni default class. Why default? Sebab tak ada parameter. And then in this default constructor, it give the default value 0, 0, 0. Biasalah, kalau madam tengok selalu kalau C++ tu dia you all declare kat sini. Length equals to 0.0, width equals to 0.0 Tapi kalau Java tak payah, kita declare dekat default constructor. Kalau you tak tulis juga default constructor ni, it's okay. Java will write or declare or initialize the default value for your attributes. Okay. Tapi normal constructor ni wajib ada kalau you ada receive from user. Okay. And then sama public square, nama sama, cuma bezanya ada parameter 2. Okay, nama parameter ikut sukalah nak bagi nama as long as you declare the data type. Kena sama atas If you declare double, you must use double lah. Nanti dia akan error mismatch pula. Kalau you declare kat sini double, kat sini you letak integer ataupun apa satu lagi tu you all? Float. Okay. So, panggil balik attribute length and width. Okay, original attributes. And then you assign to a new value lah. KL and W. Okay, so madam tak letak copy constructor tu. Nanti you all boleh letak copy constructor. Okay, and then kita declare setter and mutator. Ambil je balik normal constructor ni. But you need to include the return type. So in this case, return type dia apa? Void. Sebab setter tak ada return type. So dia just modify a new value to the attributes that we have declared, which is length and width lah. Sama je you all. So senang kerja, copy and paste je lah. Cuma tambah void and letak set in front of the class name square tu. Okay. So next. Then we need to write, dah siap setter, we need to write the getter. So in this case, we have 2 attributes. So you must have 2 getters. Okay. So public, return type. Okay, of course double because length and width are declared as double. So you include the word get in front of the attribute name. There is no parameter because we don't want to modify the value, but we want to return the value of the length and width whole. Okay. So return length and then return width. Okay. Tadi kita dah belajar juga toString. So we use toString to return more than one value kan. Kalau pakai getter satu-satu value. Penatlah you nak kena panggil get length, get width to display the output kan. Okay, better you create another methods to string ni display semua terus. Okay. So string, return type the string and to string, you just include the keyword return in the bracket tu, you panggil semua. And then you set lah text macam mana yang you nak keluarkan kat sini. Okay, so madam include juga main method to show you how to use all the setter and getters tu So last kali you boleh tambah bawah tu string tu, you boleh tambah main method. Okay, so ini kita buat apa ni line ni? Square s equals to new square ni kita create object yang akan simpan value yang kita nak bagi to length and also width. So s ni object This is class square. So S object. So again, you can give any name that you want. So nak senang S je. Okay, equals to new. Bila compiler nampak new ni, oh okay, it's know that you want to create an object for square class. So in this case, kenapa square ni ada dua guys? Sebenarnya statement ni juga instead of creating one object, it also give a value to the attributes that you declare, which is length and also width. Kalau compiler nampak ni, maksudnya you panggil default constructor. Why default constructor? Sebab default constructor consists of two parameters kan. Kalau you buat square s equals to new square, bracket saja without any value, means what? You call the default constructor. Sorry ni normal constructor. Kalau tak ada value dalam ni, kita panggil default constructor. Okay, so nak display the value. Okay so you, okay tadi tu guna je import java x.swing tu. Okay, j option paint and so on. Okay, you set dulu and so on. You panggil s, why s? S ni hold the value of 2 and 3. So call to string, it will display 2 and 3. Okay, kalau you nak tukar baru, tak naklah 2 and 3 kan, nak change or modify the state of the value of the length and width, so you call setter. Anything, if you want to call the method, you must start with the name of the object first. S kena ada depan dot. Panggil method set square, in this case setter tadi 2, 3 tapi nak tukar barulah, nak 3 and 3. Okay, so nak tengok jadi tak tukar tu. So you print again, so you call s again and then to string. So last one, system.exit ni biasalah Okay. Alright, clear ke? Ada soalan tak untuk coding? Untuk program? Okay tak guys?
So far tak ada lagi madam.
Okay, clear
Kita kena try dulu madam.
Okay, try ya. Siap korang sekejap lagi ya. Okay, last sebelum kita habis. Madam pun dah berapa lama madam bebel ni Okay, so yang last ni processor. Processor ni sama macam C++. Nak buat apa-apa je lah. Something yang we want to process. So we call as processor method lah kan. Calculate ke, process ke, benda yang sama. So madam rasa yang ni you all dah faham, dah pandai. Cuma nak tahu syntax how to write in a Java format sahaja. Okay. So usually if we write processor method ni, kita mesti nak return something, nak review. Contohlah madam suruh you all buat apa hari tu, return average kan. To calculate the average of the numbers. So kita boleh buat juga dalam method. Okay, so you want to return something or you want to compare integers, normal lah tu kan. Kalau programming tu je nak cari. Okay, so you can add another additional method. Nama dia processor. Dia lain lah daripada to string ke setter, getter, constructor tu semua. Tadi wajib ada you all, tapi processor ni tak semestinya ada, depends pada soalan. Kalau soalan minta, then you need to add. Okay, alright. So what else nak bagi tahu you all ni? Okay, contoh. Tadi kita dah declare parameter radius and length and width. So kita nak cari parameter dia. So you buat something. So adalah juga dia punya return parameter, and another one you can also calculate the area. So you boleh do something on your declare attributes.